Pajashig, welcome. Welcome to InDigital Insights. Monique Manatch and Dejnakos, Kitikanik and Ishnabek and Dojaba. My name is Monique Manatch and I'm a member of the Algonquins of Barrier Lake. And our guest today is Harley Knife. Harley is a 2D animation artist from Atakakuk First Nation, and now you're living in Kelowna.
Sure am. Tensei Kakayak, my name is Harley Knife. I hail from Atakakuk Cree Nation under Treaty 6 territory, and I am currently living in Kelowna of the unceded territory of Silks Nation. Um, yeah, I'm I'm a dapper young man.
Yes, you are. How did you get into 2D animation?
Well, uh, the best answer is Sailor Moon. Uh, it's an anime from the 90s. I used to watch it growing up, and there was an episode in the show where one of the main characters or side characters got uh, was really into animation, and this person wanted to be the best animator, and this evil person uh, took advantage of that and made them into a demon. But this was my first realization that cartoons are made by people. Everything I'm seeing on screen is designed by a person, and that became like started my like childhood love with animation. Since then, it was Dragon Ball Z, Akira, um, Zaboomafoo, cool shows like that, right? Um, but then, as I got older, I eventually found out about schools that I could potentially go to while I was in high school, and I found this one called Art Institute of Vancouver. Uh, I applied there. I got accepted the day I was supposed to go. I didn't get the funding figured out properly because I was a young person and I didn't really understand that stuff. So I had to drop out. A couple years later, I found out about Center for Arts Technology in Kelowna. Applied, got in. This time, I was ready. Uh, I did my homework, dotted my I's, crossed my T's, and I was accepted. Got in, got all the funding figured out, and went to school there for 3D game animation. Might be a little confused with that as I am a 2D animator, but such is life. And yeah,
That's
pretty cool
fantastic.
story.
And
Yeah.
where was that school that you went to
Center for Arts and Technology in Kelowna.
in Kelowna?
Yeah, I think it was in 2008 is when I went. 8, 9. Yeah, I graduated in 2009. It's pretty cool. There's obviously way more to the story than that, but that's just the cliff notes of it. Yeah.
So how did you go from 3D animation to games
2D.
to 2D animation?
Yeah. Basically, the whole 2 years was just building a demo reel for 3D animation. Um, Once I was finished, graduated, and the whole world was ahead of me, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and there was no real like animation studios in Kelowna. The only ones that I knew of at the time were in Vancouver. So during that time, I decided to work, and with that work came a realization of, oh, I'm not doing what I set out to do, right? So this led to deep state of depression. Went through a big transformation in myself, physically and mentally. Um, but then one of the teachers that I had worked with at Center for Arts Technology, he would eventually go to start a animation studio, 2D animation studio. So during this 3D animation course, you're getting taught all these different things that deal with the medium of 3D animation, 2D animation, life drawing, um, Photoshop, uh, all these design basics, right? Um, and in that was my teacher, Todd Ramsey. Um, he and I hit it off really well. Uh, he could tell that I was very passionate about what I wanted to do because of my background. It was all or nothing for me, and he could see that. So then, cut to 2 years later, he opens up a studio. My best friend that I met in college, he calls me up and he's like, "Hey, Todd and Ashley Ramsey are starting a studio in Kelowna. You should call them and see if you can just get your foot in the door." Right. I call Ashley Ramsey, who's Todd's wife, and um, I just let her know, like, "Hey, I would love to work for you guys, even if it's just making the coffee, sweeping the floors. I'll do anything just to be in that space." And she's like, "Sure, come in for an interview." I go in to the studio. It's everything I imagined it would be. Little corner room that's really hot because there's no ventilation, and they're at their startup too, right? So it's still small, and um, I go in there with my resume in hand, go straight to Ash's office, and I'd start telling her, I'm like, this is what I'm meant to do. I'm meant to do this. I'm going to do it. I just need your help. Again, I'll make your coffee. And she knew from Todd about my passion about getting into this medium. And she's like, sure, yeah, just come in Monday. We'll find something for you to do. And I didn't even give her my resume. Like, it was just, come in, we'll figure it out. Um, that day, like, as I walked out, it was just like a movie. Like, it just, everything started like falling onto me. I understood what was happening. Um, and then as that happens, you kind of go through the state of, um, how do I do this? And that, like, the fear hits you of like, oh my gosh, my dreams are becoming reality. There's an expectation now. Um, but again, because of my background, I was like, all or nothing, go for it. The worst that can happen is you don't get it. So I ended up working for them for 3 months before the contract came up. And after that, my boss and a friend were able to find a government uh, incentive where the government would pay half my wages and Yeti Farm would pay the other half. So this would lead to me getting more work for like 6 months. And most of the animation industry is contract based. So this contract led to 6 months, and it just started snowballing from there. As that was happening, my quality of work was going up and up and up and up. Yeah, that's the gist of it, the cliff notes of that too.
And how long did you end up working for them?
For Yeti Farm, this is Todd and Ashley's company. I worked for them for 8 years, and it was
Wow.
an awesome 8 years of my life. Um, Ups and downs. Uh, it was the hardest time of my life and the most beautiful time of my life. Then I had kids. That changed everything.
Yes.
Uh, yeah, it was great. It was at the beginning. It was a little bit difficult because the learning curve for understanding what you're doing in this medium was very hard, especially at that time. So a lot of late nights, a lot of unpaid overtime, um, mostly due to my inability to understand what I was doing. But again, with that, my quality got better and better. Thankfully, I don't do any of that now because I'm better. But um, yeah, it was wild. And then at the end of that 8 years, I kind of peaked in my mentality for what I wanted out of the industry. I felt stagnant. I felt like I wasn't doing what I set out to do
Mm-hmm.
for my own personal reasons. At the same time, uh, I was starting to deal with the beginnings of what was my understanding of childhood trauma and how to heal that and deal with that. Um, and at the end of that 8 years, I understood that through the help of my wife, we came to the understanding that counseling was the best choice to mitigate these feelings that I was going through. Right.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I was raising my firstborn with my wife, and I didn't understand what it meant to be a father and a working professional and being Indigenous within this whole industry was. So thankfully, counseling
Mm-hmm.
on I went with this whole perception that, like, oh, I'm going into this room where this person's going to tell me how to think and feel, and that was my fear. That's the biggest fear I had, right? And that they were going to, like, peel back the layers and find out who I really am, and I was scared of that. But once I got into that, once I gave myself up to the idea of that, I found out very quickly that it's nothing like that. It's this person's giving you the tools and the guidance to find your own answers and to get to the resolutions that you need. It was really scary. It was really hard. And I look at it as like a video game. It's never going to be beat. You just have to learn to get more tools and experience to be able to uh, work within all of that.
That's a
It's
great
wild.
analogy. I really like that.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever beat it. The idea of being 100% fully healed and cured of what I go through is impossible. You just have to learn to work with it.
We're a work in progress. We're
Exactly. Yeah.
constantly evolving. So whether it's, evolving from our own trauma, or if it's just evolving, because we're growing older and learning and experiencing. Yeah,
Mm.
I am adamant that I am a work in progress, whatever that means, and will continue to be for all, lifelong learning. Uh,
Yeah.
if we stop growing, if we stop learning and changing, like
You become stagnant, and you realize that you become self-aware of the masks you're putting on, right?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But if you're continuing, you don't necessarily. Well, I think we all wear masks to a degree.
Yeah.
Uh, I
Yeah.
think I think that's part of our life experience.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not the same person here talking to you today than I am, when I'm teaching, or when I'm, with my son, or when I'm, doing other things.
Yeah.
I think that's just taking different parts of our skills, and different parts of our experiencing, and applying it to the moment.
Yeah.
As opposed to those masks, which when I was younger, of course, yeah, those.
Yeah. There's broken masks you can put on, and there's perfect porcelain masks you can put on. Um, both of which are both beneficial and uh, negative, um, depending on how you use them. Right? I guess that would be the best way to put it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And the biggest life lessons come from those understanding of what masks you're holding.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
always say that I never learn anything if life is going really well.
Yeah.
It's only when I make mistakes, when I mess up, that's when I learn things.
Yeah.
And I think that's how we're made. That's how we're supposed to learn, is when we make mistakes. So
Almost feel like you're living more when you're making when not when you're making mistakes, when you understand the mistake and how to learn from it. Um, that's scary to think about, but um, there are moments, those moments of like where you're just making coffee and then you're like, oh man, everything's really great right now. Instead of just taking it for granted, I take a minute and say, yeah, thank you, creator. Thank you, whoever's out there. Thank you, universe. I'm happy in this moment.
exactly.
And then I go back to cleaning a diaper and uh, cleaning toys off the ground, stepping on Lego.
Yeah. Oh
Right?
yeah, yeah.
They're back down to earth.
I don't miss that. Well,
we're uh,
go ahead.
we're in the cleaning stages right now where they'll make a mess and just walk away from it. And I'm like, okay, well, guess I'm cleaning this up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That happens. My only thing is that I can't. I have to remember to appreciate when it's going well, and not be okay. So when's the other shoe going to fall? You know, to think it's going well now, but what is it, that phrase? All things must pass.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
This I've been thinking about that a lot too lately because to grow up the life I've lived and a lot of the our indigenous culture is not culture, our indigenous people, um, that you're expecting something bad's going to happen because it has. That history is there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I constantly have to stop myself from thinking that and feeling that because it'll spiral and you get into that cycle of thinking where there's like no way out. You're like, oh no, this is just getting worse and worse. And then you're like, oh, I expected this to happen. But with that comes the lesson of understanding that you're in that situation, you're in that cycle, and you're able to, because of counseling for me,
Mm-hmm.
there's offshoots to get off of that cycle, off of that path. Journaling, um, taking that deep breath, stepping outside of that situation, then coming back to it if you need to fix or heal those things.
Mm-hmm. Lately,
And again, sorry, it's a learning experience, right? It's just
absolutely.
yeah.
Lately, my lesson has been to ask why. It
Mm.
used to be I would say, "Don't ask why; it's the road to madness." Because every time I asked why, I just get
Yeah,
gaslit, or I'd get spiraling.
yeah,
But now, it's I would jump from, what's going, whatever's going on to, okay, how do we fix it? But if you
Yeah.
don't know why, then you don't know what to
Yeah.
fix.
Yeah.
You don't have that information.
You're just putting like a band-aid on an open wound, right?
Exactly, like on an
Yeah.
amputation.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
So I've been asking why, and now it's my thing. It's I ask why or how.
Yeah. Parenting is definitely a big factor in it. Like I constantly fail as a father, as a husband, but especially with my kids, when I do fail in those moments, at the end of the day, it's apologizing for the wrong I might have caused them, or not that I'm like a bad father, 100 like all the time. My kids will say I'm a great father, and I like to think that too. But again, you're not gonna hit home runs all the time,
Yeah.
right? Um, and accepting that, and the biggest thing is the apology after. Um, Kids understand that, at least the simplicity of the apology at the time. Um, that means the world to them, and they understand that, like, oh, my father can fail and can apologize. Um, and it also leads to a interesting thing where they 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 understand um, their confidence in themselves, to the point where now they're calling me out on things, and I'm like, what the heck? Now I got to walk away and go to my room and just like relax, right? My oldest is an amazing kid. She will call me out on the things that I do. Yeah,
That's
they're smart, little sponges.
how many kids do
Yeah,
you have?
two. I
Two.
have a turning 8 year old and a turning 4 year old.
Oh, wow.
The 4 year old's intense. The second one is super intense.
Yeah. I only had the one. I often wondered if I had a second one. I think that one.
Wild,
Be afraid of that.
completely different. I was like, first one, I was like, oh man, we do this again. This is awesome. Second one comes like, this is completely different than what I thought it was going to be. And it doesn't help they're so cute,
Yeah.
because then it's just like, okay, you threw an orange at my head, but the way you did it was really cute, but it still hurt.
Exactly. I learned finally. It was an elder who said to me, "Look, you love your kids. You feed them. You keep them warm. You keep them safe. You're a attentive parent. You're a good enough mom. You don't have to be the world's perfect mom. Like, it
Yeah.
doesn't even exist because you're not
Yeah.
teaching your kids the lessons in life if you're always about perfection. Again, we learn by making mistakes, and so do our kids.
Yeah.
And so, I kept, when I was starting to feel like I was being, because I raised him by myself. And if I was starting to get like down on myself, then I'd have to try to remember, like, it's okay. I'm not the world's most evil mom. I don't have to be
Yeah.
a perfect mom. And I do too. That
Yeah.
was one thing. My parents never apologized
Yeah.
for anything. So I always made sure that he understood that, yeah, that wasn't a good thing. I shouldn't have done that. And I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. My telling my kids like, oh, I'm sorry. They'll go, or the oldest will be like, I accept your apology, but it wasn't okay, and that's okay. I'm like, yeah, that's the best way to think about it. My girl. Yeah.
that is fantastic. Wow.
Yeah. They're. I
That's
think that comes like her uh, IQ is so far advanced than mine ever was at that age. And I feel like it's both our parenting style, how me and my partner raise her, but I feel like, and I'm just starting to see this now, that it might have to do with the generational trauma and cutting that off at me. Um, yeah, I'm starting to feel like that's what that is.
you're breaking the cycle.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to feel that now. At least seeing the fruits of that labor. Hard, the things I went through, but and I was talking to my therapist about this too. Actually, I was like, I kind of like, I don't hate my kids. I don't wish ill on them, but I was like, I kind of resent them because of the life that they're living and the life I wish I had. And I started thinking about it more. I'm like, no, I mourn the child that didn't get those things, and that was like a big transformative thing. That's the therapy session, because then I got home and I was like, whoa, like there's that childhood version of me that's calling out to be acknowledged. And right now I'm on that journey of trying to find out and get to know better that person.
That's
It's a lot
amazing.
of, yeah, it's a lot of repressed memories and understanding like that it's that person is still there, and they they just want to be hugged, and I'm
Yeah,
slowly working on that, right?
exactly. And letting that grief happen,
Mm-hmm.
because that's
Mm-hmm.
something that, you know, those emotions, those big feelings that
Yeah.
were never allowed, like
Oh yeah.
you, you weren't allowed to express those kind of things. I wasn't, you know, and realizing, yeah, and mourning that child, but also loving and holding that child and acknowledging that child and
Yeah.
reparenting myself.
Yeah. That's what I need to work on too, is reparenting myself.
Mm.
I'm I don't give myself enough generosity in that part. Because once, like, again, when it comes back to failing as a father, I'd like beat myself up. I'm like, oh man, like you could have done that better. Um, but then once I talk to Beta, who's my oldest, it kind of like eases that guilt that comes with that. And then the next day goes about, and I think about it, I'm like, oh, okay, that's what that was. Like, just be patient with yourself too.
Mhm.
Again, still learning, still figuring it out. Not going to swing 100%, but we're working on it. Work in progress.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Work in progress. Do you find this journey, does it impact your work, your art?
Yes, definitely. Right now, I'm coming out of burnout, creative burnout, because uh, I'm also like undiagnosed ADHD. I'm dyslexic. um, so once I have to focus on work, my whole focus mentally is work. Like I need to get these shots done. Um, I have to get this quota done. This needs to get done, and my creativity is just siphoned into that. So then once I put the pen down for the day, I'm like, I need to make stuff because I'm doing a Comic-Con in a couple of weeks, or I feel like creating something, but there's nothing coming out. Um, and then it starts to like snowball, and now I'm at the end of a contract. The burnouts hit. Now I have to figure out how to like rebuild that creative control. Um, I just finished my contract last Friday, so right now it's just video game week, and then next week is like preparing some ideas that I'm working on, a couple of pitches for a couple of shows that I'm working on mentally. Um, right now it's just like do what I wanted to do with my time off: video games, hiking, working out.
Yeah, yeah, you need that time, that
Mm-hmm.
recoup, that revitalized time, and that's great that,
Yeah,
you because I for years I never did. I'd go from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next.
yeah,
I felt like I couldn't take that time,
yeah.
you know.
Oh yeah. Especially in this day and age where rent is so high, cost of living's high. You want to get that next contract right away. It's all or nothing.
Hmm.
Um, I'm a little stressed out about like the money sense on that part, but I feel like it's going to be okay, especially once I get the apply for EI and get all that figured out, which I'm going to.
Hmm.
um, uh, but right now, it's just heal the burnout,
Hmm.
play video games for that first week, and then actually start working on the stuff I wanted to work on. And like, it's like dusting off an old book. Uh, all the words are there. You just have to open it up and start reading. And um, yeah, I drawing too is like a big part of this industry, and I draw for work, but it doesn't feel um, fulfilling enough for me in the sense that I'm not creating my own stuff. So like it's just dusting off the pen too on that sense. I feel really out of touch with that, so it's reconnecting with that too.
With your own creative process.
Yeah, yeah. Because like right now I have a couple ideas for pitching like a documentary show. I have like post-it notes on my wall of like a story I'm writing for a TV show. about my life on how I was in foster care and how I went to from foster care back to the reserve. And it's just like a lot of ideas are there, and now I have the time to do it, and now I need to like start working on that. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of cool things coming down the pipe. I just need to buckle down and do it. But
Yeah.
video games first.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I got to that point because I started this organization about 20 years ago, and I used to be petrified all the time that I wouldn't get that because we're project based. I wouldn't get the next grant. I wouldn't get the
yeah,
next project until finally it was later in life when I started thinking, somebody said that to me. I don't know who it was. You know, future me has got this.
yeah,
Future Monique has got this. So
yeah.
it's okay. I can relax because future me will make sure that it's taken care of.
Yeah.
So I could take that
Oh yeah.
kind of off my uh, plate
Yeah.
and just
Like the mental dish.
the constant, yeah, that constant
Yeah.
worry, worry, worry. You know, I could just put it over there and say it will. You know, I can trust
Yeah.
that future me will take care of it. And so far, you know, so good.
Yeah. I mean, there is that fear of like, oh, if I don't do anything to prepare for this, it's not going to happen. But yes, it is preparation for that. But if you just give yourself up to whatever that is, the universe, creator, uh, God, whatever you feel, if you give yourself up to that and truly believe it's going to be okay, 80% of the time it's going to work out.
Mhm.
It usually does. That's how it's worked out in my life. Um, uh, have a laundry list of things that happened in my life to prove that. It's just
Yes.
at the time when you're in that situation of like, oh God, it's hard to think that. Um, just give yourself up to it and prepare. Yeah.
And I know what you mean about the post-it notes. My
Mhm.
computer looked like a daisy for a while.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, there's a director. His name's Robert Rodriguez. Uh, he worked on a bunch of cool shows, Machete, Desperado, all those things. He was just on a podcast and he's talking about how he uses the post-it note system, and he does it just for like he does it for his life. He does it for his shows, parenting, everything. He just lays it out and writes down the things, kind of like a bullet note of things he's got to do, but he'll place them and then he moves them around in like how important they are. Um, and I'm just starting to adopt this more because not only is it helping you line out what you want to do, you're physically putting it out there. People can see it, you can see it physically, and it's almost like a confirmation of like this is going to happen. Um, Kind of like The Secret, where it's like you visualize that stuff. Um, it's very beneficial. It does who knows if it's like you're telling the universe this is what I want, and the universe is going to give it to you. Who knows? What we do know is just starting doing that is super beneficial to you achieving and reaching your goals.
Absolutely, I think
Yeah.
you're right. I hadn't thought about moving them around. I just kind of have them around me, and then I see them. But I like that. That's a good second step to start prioritize. Okay, that one can go over there. This one can, you know, kind of.
Yeah. Right. Like I'm using the story wheel, which is like a theory on like how to write a story. Your character is you. Your character needs something. Your character's got to go. Character's going on a search for it. They find it. They take it. They return back home, a changed person, and that's the circle.
Hmm.
Um, Even with that, you can move things around, uh, and then you end up with a Tarantino movie where the beginnings or the endings at the beginning and the beginnings at the end, right? Uh, Whoops. Yeah, that's just like just like tools. These are all tools to help you understand who you are and understand the timeline that you're placing for yourself. Um, yeah.
And how to best work with
Hmm.
with for yourself, how you best work.
Yes. Yes. And right now it's like getting past the burnout to get to that point of like, let's start doing this now. Um, that's where there's a story that I'm working on right now. Well, it's not a story. It's just a pitch idea that I'm working on with my friend. It's we're at the beginning stages of like, this is the idea. We've thought about it. We've gotten really pumped up about it. We've talked to a few people about it. Um, the general consensus is like, it's kind of a good idea. We just need to pitch it and get it ready. Um, the idea is, not to give too much away, but it's a story about reconnection in documentary style. The idea is to go to, for example, say like New Zealand, and um, meet up with the in, the Maori. I think they're the Maori.
Hmm.
Meeting up with them and finding out the cultural similarities between Cree culture and their culture, and finding common ground between that. And then it would be like going to other different tribes around the world and finding the similarities, and then coming back home to our yearly powwow where we would reconnect with our culture, and it ends with us uh, joining and dancing in the powwow with all this gained knowledge that we got from all these different cultures. Um, yeah, the idea for it came from a couple years ago while I was working at Yeti Farm. I had met a really good friend. His name's Bilal. One day he's like, "Oh, I'm leaving for lunch. I'm going to the mosque." I was like, "Whoa, is it okay if I come with you?" And he's like, "What?" My whole like life, I've never had a friend ask to come to mosque, and I was like, "I just want to see what it's like. I've never been. I want to experience your culture." He's like, "Absolutely." We go there, and there's protocols that happen before you go into the mosque, right? And it's like washing your hands, elbows, um, arms, feet, and it clicked like, oh, that's something similar to what we do when we smudge, right? Head, heart, arms, legs, and like that stuck with me to this day. And I was like, there's so many similarities in our cultures. We're not so divided. We're not so far off from each other, right? And I kind of I want to dive into that and understand that within these different tribes, right? Um, yeah, and that's kind of the pitch, the idea, and now it's just like getting all the ideas together and make it and selling it. That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. There was some people who came up here from Mexico. We were
Mm-hmm.
talking, and we started talking about our creation stories. And they had some of the same story. I'm Algonquin, from a
Nice.
place called, well, Barrier Lake, but we also it's called Rapid Lake. We call it Rapid Lake. Um, and there were creation stories that they had, which were the
Mm-hmm.
same stories,
Yeah.
and that really freaked me out.
Yeah.
You've got that story, we have that story. Like, how can it be that we have the same story?
Yeah.
Is it human beings' imagination? Is there a connection between, because we always say we came from the south, that we
Mm.
moved north, that we moved up north as the um, glaciers receded, and the people moved north.
Yeah.
Um, when they talk about I work with an elder, his name's Albert Dumont, and when they talk about the Bering Strait theory,
Oh yeah.
how we came across, he said, no, we were going the other way.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh,
I
they
love that.
just found ancient tools and artifacts close to our reserve, and these predate any of that. Like it's all there. Like proof is there. It's like, and now it's like we obviously we knew it was there, but like
Yeah.
getting society to understand that is another thing, right? Like,
He said, what do you think, we came across the Bering Strait and then immediately raced down to Mexico and South America and built the pyramids?
yeah, yeah.
You know, what?
I always, yeah, that stuff bugs me,
Yeah,
but
me too.
denialism, right? That's what it is. Colonialism, denialism.
There was a
That's
book
what it
put
is.
out recently. I was at this conference, and I was just having lunch, and you're sitting at a table with people you don't know. It's just, everyone kind of just sits down and eats lunch, and they started talking about this book, and they started talking about the Bering Strait, and I said, look, like, that's incorrect. That history is
Yeah,
just, it's not, it's a misinterpretation of history.
yeah,
Maybe there were some who came across, sure, but that's not
yeah,
the the beginning of our society. We all of our stories. It doesn't matter who you talk to, whether it's
Yeah.
Haudenosaunee, whether it's Mi'kmaq, whether it's Haida.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. All of our stories say that we came from the south.
Yeah.
Even the Navajo have a story about how a group of them left and went north, and then now we find out that the Dene language is in the same family, is very close to the Navajo language. Like, how would that?
See, that stuff's super interesting to me.
Yeah, me too.
There's so, yeah,
Exactly. Like,
that tickles my brain.
yeah, and when you think about it, an Anishinaabe is all along like the eastern seaboard and up and Mi'kmaq and then across, and Algonquin is also Anishinaabe. Cree is Anishinaabe. Like there are so many, um, like the Anishinaabe family of languages is
Yeah.
so widespread,
Yeah.
and that you can almost see a path. You can almost see,
Yeah.
where people went.
The Anishinaabe wave.
Doing that at powwows and
Yeah. I'm gonna copyright that.
okay.
It's like the Skoden or the
Scored
pointing
it.
lips.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go there.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just I'm at an age now where I'm starting to think more about uh not so much the story I'm going to leave behind, more about the generation that's coming up and what they deserve and what we can leave for them. Uh, I my chief, the chief that signed the treaties uh, for my reserve, Treaty Six, Chief Takaku, he has this quote, and it's "Let us not think of ourselves, but let us think of our children's children." We were taught this in high school and school. Um, I understood it, but I really didn't understand it until I had kids, and it clicked. I understood what he was saying.
Mhm.
Um, so now I've been on this path of trying to inspire kids to get into not just animation but tech itself in general. So I've been doing these um, guest speaking roles at reserves. I've done Whitefish, which is close to my reserve, and I've done my reserve. I'm hopefully going back in July to host a workshop, a 2-day workshop on like everything and anything to do with my job and what I do for a living. You get like a day in the life of here's what's expected of you, and then we're going to be doing like post-it note animations because that's how I started. Me and my best friend, we just drew stickman skateboarding, and that's kind of where that is kind of starting. But yeah, that's what I'm going for right now. Um, and again, it's just to like inspire kids to like get into animation. Like I've when I did my speaking roles out there, um, it was kind of cool to see their minds click. Like, oh hey, someone who animated Max and Ruby looks like me, and I was like, yeah, I've worked on that show. I worked on Pete the Cat. I've worked on um, Frog and Toad. I've worked on a lot of these kids shows, and once I say Max and Ruby, they're like, oh, no way, like yeah.
Oh yeah, my son watched Max and Ruby. My question is, where are their parents?
You know, it's funny. We were responsible. Yeti Farm was responsible for the season that they are introduced. I think it's season 5 or 6. But yeah, they because like before it was just like you only saw below like their tummies and down, um, and I think it was like maybe 2 episodes, but that whole season they're fully introduced.
Oh, my son must have
Lots of
known it at that point.
yeah. I think it was a lot of parents asking, where are their parents? What have they been doing this whole time, right? And
Yeah, why
then theories would
why
come
did
out,
they
and
Max all the time?
yeah, and yeah, we worked on that season. It was cool. It was kind of hard, um, but yeah, that's just like a credit I get to tell people now. It's like,
It's
yeah,
amazing.
Max and Ruby guy. I've since worked on a lot of other cooler shows, but Max and Ruby's the one. Oh, I worked on Baby Shark, uh,
No way.
Baby Shark's big movie and Baby Shark's big show. The movie was really cool because since I got into animation, like the personal goal was like, oh, I want to work on a movie someday. That'd be super cool. And then 2 years ago, I had the opportunity. I was like, yes, just to see my name in the credits in a movie theater. I only played in 2 theaters because of COVID, but whatever. Uh, my name's still there. It was cool, really cool show to work on. Uh, Sharks, who knew they were actually hard to animate?
Well, yeah. What do you do like when you're working on a show? What's your job? What do you do?
Like,
Yeah, at least.
yeah, I'm a 2D senior animator. So in the pipeline, there's numerous jobs. There's like board artist, um, backgrounds artist, builds artists, um, posing artists. Now it's so there used to be a thing where it was like there was a posing artist and there's animator. Posing artists kind of like pose out the scene where it's like you get the character into the position that you want it to be, and then it gets handed off to an animator, and then you can animate the in betweens for that. Now it's kind of like the animator does all of that. We do posing and animating. Um, and the way I look at it, or the best way to explain it is, uh, I'm a puppet master. So right now, the shows that I've been working on are mostly 2D based shape symbols, uh, and they're animated. So you have like an arm that's drawn, a top arm, and then you have a forearm, then you have a hand, and those are all different shapes and symbols, right? And they're all connected under one whole body. You move these three symbols up like that, one hand like that, and uh, there's like pins. If you got to think of it, like there's pins on like the shoulder, the elbow, and the hand. You move it up, it stays there because the technology we have now. There's no real redrawing, and if there is, it's like hands or like complicated poses, right? And my goal is to make this animation look fluid and not like it's symbol based, right? So like having a hand come like closer to the screen so it's bigger and it goes back to where it is. And that's where the idea of puppetry comes in because you know like those old paper puppets you used to make in elementary school.
Mhm.
Like you draw the body and you get those like gold pins and you pin the shoulders to the arms and the arms. It's exactly like that. But now it's like you can redraw the in between from the arm going to like down to up.
Yeah.
And that's basically what I do all day,
Wow.
5 days a week.
We were talking about machinima yesterday, and
Yeah.
we were saying how in like Second Life, you can have a person sitting or you can have them standing. There's
Yeah.
no in between. Like you can't
Yeah.
have a person sitting down. It's very complicated and difficult to have a person actually make the motion or of putting on a helmet.
Yeah.
You know, either the helmet's on or the helmet's off.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, is you don't have those limitations though in your work, do you?
No, you half the time it's like you'll get a build where someone has drawn out, excuse me, like a helmet, and very rarely there will be different drawings inside that build. So like a helmet like looking down or a helmet looking up, and then you get the character. And it's full turnaround. It's like a front view of the character, 3/4 profile, and back. And if the character says say is standing up and needs to sit down, you have to do it,
Hmm.
and you have to draw the in betweens for that because um, half the time it's like animating the symbols to get to like where you want them to go. It'll explode and then get to that pose. So you have to do the in betweens of that. So there is some like technical uh, limitations to like how much the program can animate that because there is an animate button. It's called the tween. So you have your pose here, and then you have your other pose here. You hit the tween button, and it'll robots will kind of like animate it for you to get to that point. But getting from there to there, it explodes and then gets to that point. So your goal is to like make it look beautiful of like character sitting down. Um, yeah, and it's been like that for a while now. That technology's been there for years.
Wow. So how many frames would it take, like to have someone go from sitting to standing, or to put up?
So the industry standard right now is 24 frames a second. So you have 24 frames to get, say, the character is like going to sit down in 2 seconds. So that's 24 frames. 24 plus 24, 48. I'm good at math. Um, yeah, you say you have that, and it could be just as easy as getting your character from there to there, animating it. But in 2D animation, you don't want, especially working within Flash, Adobe Animate, you don't want it to look just super plain. You want it to be flashy and super cool, right? So you're gonna have the character go up, sit down, and it's gonna like all that weight's gonna transfer down, and then it's gonna sit back up. So you have that 2 seconds to make it look beautiful, right? That makes sense.
Yeah. Do they still use Flash? I thought.
Well, Flash just turned into Adobe Animate. It's still the same thing. It's just got more bells and whistles and has dark mode, which is cool.
What's dark mode?
Like Google's like everything's white. You can go to dark mode now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's better on the eyes.
Okay. Yeah.
Saves your screen too.
Yeah. Would. So you have 2 seconds to make it really look like something is somebody is, and the idea of what I hadn't even thought of the weight transference.
Yeah, and that's where you can sell the idea of realism. Uh, it's all smoke and mirrors, steak and sizzle, right? Because under all that like flashiness is just a character whose shapes are moving, right?
Yeah.
And you're faking it to make it look like it's real hand drawn animation, but it's not. Half the time, the hand drawn stuff is like, again, those extreme poses of like if a character's exaggerating like the arms going from his pockets to like up above his head. You want to make it look really cool. You get some like depth in there. The hand's really big, going closer to the screen and goes up, and it's just that's where like a lot of the hand drawn stuff comes in.
That's why Monsters Inc. and those movies were such a big deal because they
Yeah,
even had individual. I remember watching a documentary on it. The fur on Sully
yeah, yeah,
was
yeah,
like individually like moving, like the hairs were moving.
yeah, yeah. And that's like years ago that movie came out. Almost
20
20
years.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
One of my son's favorite movies as a kid.
it was mine too.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Boo was like the coolest character in that movie. Now I got a Boo,
Yeah,
which
you
is my
do.
daughter, and that's pretty cool. That's like dream board stuff too. I used to watch Monsters Inc. and be like, I want to be an animator and have a kid. The kid's gonna be cool like that. And then I have a kid with like two braids, and I'm like, yeah, this is cool. This is the dream, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And when it comes to just animation and my style animation is just 2D puppetry. Um, that looks really convincing. It can look very convincing as 2D hand drawn animation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of hard work that goes into it. A lot of people behind the scenes that are doing a lot to get to the point of me pen to screen. Um, but once it's fully completed, and it takes like a couple months to get finished, and it's on the screen, you won't even notice that it's, at least you shouldn't notice that it's puppets.
Hmm. It's funny you say pen to screen instead of pen to paper.
I was gonna say pen to paper, but then I corrected myself like on the fly. I did actually learn 2D hand drawn animation in school. Uh, it was part of like the curriculum to understand all forms of animation. Uh, I haven't done it since. Now it's like the program itself. You can hand draw everything, and you can do mimic that 100%. Uh, and you save trees.
It's true.
Yeah,
I was thinking about printers today because I hardly ever use mine anymore. I had to scan something the other day and it's like, I don't, I think I've been out of toner for 6 months.
yeah.
I don't, I don't print
No,
anything.
we have to go to Staples to print our stuff because we just refuse to get a printer.
I can
But
understand.
once that day comes, we're like, oh, I have to go to Staples. Let's just get it over with, right?
Yeah. Well, then I get into Staples. Ooh, look at this.
Yeah, I know, right? I do that too. They have toys there now too. Yeah,
Oh, bring them.
I'm like straight to the toys. My kids are straight to the toys, and then I'm like, okay, well, you guys can get some Play-Doh, and we'll leave. but we always leave with something. Yeah,
My
it's
kid
pretty
always
wild.
wants the most expensive tech.
Yeah, I'm on a similar trajectory right now with no job. For anybody as wondering, I am in between contracts. I guess I could bring this up. Um, a lot of the industry right now is based contract based work. So you get a contract for, like, say a job I just wrapped up. It was a 4 month contract. Uh, you'll get a contract, you sign it, bing bang, boom bop. You have a job for 4 months, and once that job's done, it's either working tirelessly for the next contract, or you're waiting for the company you're working for to bring forth the next contract. Right now, I'm in that in between stage as of last Friday. Um, and yeah, there's been lulls where I've been off for 6 months, and there's been lulls where I haven't had that break. I've just gone straight into the next contract. Uh, it's right now the industry is kind of taking a hit. A lot of these streaming companies aren't really pushing towards 2D animation at this moment, but there are jobs out there. It's just a little bit harder to get them. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of goes in waves. There was when I first got into the industry, the industry was doing the same thing, um, and when I got into the industry, I was talking to a couple of the veterans, and they were just super jaded. They're like, "You shouldn't get into this industry, man. It's not worth it." And I'm like, "No, this is what I want to do for a living. This is my dream, right?" And again, thankfully I didn't listen to him, because now I have a 12-year career under my belt, and 2 kids.
Yep.
I've brought my kids a lot during this, and I will continue to do so.
Yep. What about like developing your own production company and
Yeah.
going
Okay.
for grants or?
So I have this thing where I write out my goals. I have short-term goals, mid-term goals, and long-term goals. Right now, the long-term goal is to open an animation studio on native land. I wanted to go back to my reserve and do this. Uh, I'm not sure yet how that's going to work, but the goal is to open an animation studio on my reserve, where I would both hire uh, animators, but also bring in the next generation that wanted to get into animation, teach them everything that they wanted to know or need to know about getting into animation, give them the tools to understand what the industry is like, and set them up for success, in the sense that once you understand fully what animation is and you're able to do it proficiently, we would help you facilitate either staying within the company or helping you outsource to other companies. And with that, I have friends all over the world. I have friends in uh, Australia. I have friends in Ireland. I have friends in America, all over the world. And this job can really get you anywhere you want it to go or want to go. My friend from Ireland is from Portugal. He came to Canada. He worked with Yeti Farm for a while, and we hit it off. This guy's really cool. Skateboards. I skateboard. Used to skateboard. Um, and yeah, he's back in Ireland now, or he's in Ireland, and he's doing cool things there. And that's the kind of like message I want to send to these kids. Like, you're not totally bound by your environment. You're allowed to go out and explore these things, the world, right? And I want to be able to give them the tools to do that through animation. So that's the animation studio. That's the long-term goal.
Mm-hmm.
And where I'm at with that right now is still in the idea phase, because right now I'm like, right now the goal is that pitch idea I was talking about, because that feels like that's where my calling is, and the speaking gigs and the workshops. Because like, if I can figure out those and get them proficient, um, I feel like I'm on the right path of like hopefully inspiring kids to think about it at least.
That's what we do a lot of. We did a lot of training in the past,
Mm-hmm.
um, different programs. and whenever we have a production or whenever we're working on anything, we always make sure there's a training element for somebody to come on
Yeah.
and train on it. Um, there's like if you look at what funding is out there, there's like the Indigenous Screen Office has capacity building, which helps. You can help train with that,
That's
build that in. Yeah, look at the
that's one thing I was thinking about something like that because I was like, man, there needs to be a place where someone can go and just like figure out these ideas, and they have all the tools there. Like if you want to start a podcast, all the podcasting areas there. If you want to start like streaming, you have this area where you can go and like figure that out, how to stream. If you want to get into understanding animation, there's a whole animation side of that whole building. Like that would be super beneficial to kids, I think, just to
absolutely
have that.
having it online would be so that they can access it no matter where they are.
Yeah,
Having it
I didn't even think
indigenous
about online.
and having it indigenous based, because there's so
Yes.
many. Like I know with different nations, there are protocols
Yeah.
around what images you can use or what stories you could tell and what dances you can tell. And in
Yeah.
some, like in the Maori community, you cannot mention the name of people who have passed on, and they have
Wow.
warnings. If there's video, they have warnings saying, that there will be people in this video who have passed on, because those are their protocols. And that way, you're. Uh, that's what we try to do with everything is to help everybody understand. Explore your own culture, find where your protocols are. How
Yeah.
did your grandparents and great grandparents transfer knowledge to the next generation?
Yeah.
We were talking about that, especially around AI.
Yeah.
What would that look like? Some people are like, no, we don't want AI anything to do with it because it's all based on mainstream and words have different meanings and that kind of thing. And then you get these other guys who are saying, I want to make a Coco AI.
And
Like,
like
well,
how do you stop that, and how do you like stop that creativity that's coming from that person that
yeah,
wants to do it, or like doesn't have the tools to be able to do that?
exactly.
And that's a tool like that could get them an idea. I'm kind of on the fence too about AI. I see the benefits of it. Creatively, I can see what it's taking from the industry and how it's affecting the industry right now. There are whole departments of the industry that are being taken from it. Um, but then I use it for writing and stuff like that. Not like writing my ideas, but like
Mm-hmm.
say if I write a paragraph to put on Facebook, I'm like, hey, help me rewrite this because I'm dyslexic and I see things differently.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's I'm kind of on the fence about AI, but
Yeah.
again, I'm uninformed about it. So until I get more information
I did
about the
see a
benefits,
project where um, it was with Carleton University, but they're working with First Nation, and they're creating video games and whatnot in a database of the language. But they're creating their own AI, and they're training it. And my role is to help ensure that the AI they're training is based appropriately in the culture.
yeah,
So that's what the AI will learn from. It won't be necessarily mainstream capitalist values,
yeah.
but it will be values that are based in the First Nation, in that specific First Nation.
If you think about it, we have protocols.
Yeah.
You're giving this AI protocols to adhere to.
The same protocols
Okay,
that we follow.
yeah,
I have a friend who belongs to a certain clan, and her parents said, "Okay, this is your clan. These are the images. This is how you draw them, and now you're responsible for them." So, and you don't use these other clans' images because they belong to them. They don't belong to you. I mean, you can still
yeah.
draw that animal. You just don't draw it in the stylized way of these other clans.
I, I, when I was growing up, I was so infatuated with Haidagwai art,
Yeah.
like the symbol base. I love that. I used to draw it all the time, and it wasn't until I was older. Like, there are protocols that you need to like. I don't know 100%, but I feel like you have to learn it from someone who's within, and there's things you have to follow to be able to do that. So I stopped doing that like a long time ago. But I remember I used to, right after I graduated Center for Arts Technology, I moved back to Vernon, and I worked at for the First Nations Friendship Center there, and they had an offshoot called Sook and Shoot, which was a youth group where kids would come from the high school and they would just hang out and we do like native art stuff like that. And because of the school I went to, I understood the importance of like dream boards, and I got all these kids to do dream boards. And in that time, we we had this whole like art show that we were gonna do, and we put together like this cool sun, and I drew it out, and it's like looks really cool, and it had all the kids' hands as like the sun shines. But then we like made it Haida art, and that was the last time I did it because like I realized after that I was like, oh hey, maybe I'm not supposed to do this, and it's not like part of my culture to like do this. So um, yeah,
Well, in the same way, you don't want to like curb that curiosity or that talent or that expression.
yeah,
Um, we also have to be aware of other nations' protocols. With
yeah,
my nation, it's not so much about imagery; it's more about stories.
yeah,
Um, I have been gifted some stories I can tell, and then but I've had teachers come up to me afterwards and say, "Oh, that's a great story. Can you write it down for me? I want to
yeah,
tell it to my kids, and we'll make puppets." And I had to say, "No, I'm sorry, you can't take our sacred creation story and make puppets."
yeah,
Um, there needs to be, there needs to be a teaching around that. There needs to be,
yeah,
an Algonquin in the room. There needs to be
yeah.
these other things in place
Love that.
before that can
I
happen.
love I love our culture in that sense because it's like that's ours, and it means more than money and gold. Like it's and like we get to have those stories. Those are for us, right?
And I
I
love
love that.
being part of the time when we're revitalizing that and we're reclaiming that.
Mhm.
And
And like culture, like societal culture is starting to like understand that a little bit. Like they're like, oh hey, like people call people out on TikTok, hey, that's not for you. You're not supposed to do that. Like that's for their culture. And these aren't indigenous people. These are just basic society. I love that.
that they're starting to get that. Although we still do have people who are pretending to be indigenous
Yeah, that's
on the other
geez, that's a
side of
whole
things.
conversation right there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's wild. I my favorite thing was from some of the elders on my reserve was like getting Bigfoot and like UFO stories. I love that stuff. I don't know why it. I don't. I've never seen one, so I don't know 100% if I like I believe in aliens, but the stories that the way they tell them is so cool.
Yeah, I love
And
hearing,
it's like
and that's why the digital tools are so amazing because you can see them
yeah,
telling the story. You can see the change in expression, the movement of the hands. It's when it's written down, you don't see any of that. Like it doesn't
yeah,
impart the same information. It doesn't the same context. It doesn't give you half of the meaning that you
no,
get.
the intent is gone.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, because like I could write down that the couple of stories that I've been told, and it just looks like fan fiction. But talking to the elder who's since passed, but
Mhm.
the way they told me, I'm like, I felt like I was a little kid just sitting on a bench, just like listening to this guy tell this story. I'm like, whoa. And I was like 20, 24, 25 at the time. Uh, that's the power of storytelling, and our culture is our whole lives are like our story passed down through generations. I feel like that's why it's so important for us too.
Exactly.
Continued in part 2.